the subjects that you cover were something that really got me into looking into alternative information. I've always been very interested in the paranormal, ufology, crop circles, all that kind of stuff. And there's times as I've researched those things where I've gone back and forth. I've been like, it's real, it's not, it's real, it's not. And I wondered what your comment would be on the idea that, obviously we can prove certain things, we can theorize about certain things. And as you said, within the research community, there's a lot of squabbling that ends up happening about, the fine details of everything. But just to the average person that might not even be willing to accept that something like UFOs are a reality, or that crop circles are made by aliens, or whatever it is, what would you say to the idea that just the fact that you're opening your mind to other possibilities, or you're looking at these things from a different angle, that there's value in that? Because I felt that as I was studying these paranormal or phenomenological things, I was going on my own path of self-discovery in the process. So I was learning about how my mind works, how I form biases, how I form opinions, how I process information, how certain information provokes emotional reactions from me and things like that. So regardless of whether everything is true 100% or not, because we're all investigating, we're all trying to find what the truth is about these things. It is a mystery after all, that there's something very important about going down that path of seeking out the mystery and looking for the answers and investigating and challenging your previous belief systems. What would you say about that?
I think that you've touched on something very important, that often you won't get to the bottom of some of these things. They are frustrating. And of course, that's where from the outside you get the criticism, because they'll turn around and say, what, you're telling me you've been investigating, whatever UFOs for 25 years and you still don't know exactly what's going on? As if, somehow we were going to answer this huge mystery overnight. But it's the path of inquiry that matters. And certainly what I've found over the years is that, and I could name a few other researchers that would feel the same, in the end, you have to embrace the mystery to some degrees and realize that perhaps you're not going to get 100% to the bottom of what's going on. However, you can show that there is something going on, and you can certainly I think give very clear pointers to the fact that these areas are not being represented correctly, if at all, in the mainstream. And that's the crucial thing. So if in a lecture, for instance, I can show people things that they've just never even had reported to them, now irrespective of what they then believe about it, you've immediately broken through on one level, because they're saying, well, why have I never heard this before? Why have I never seen a photograph of this pattern in the field before? And they can think what they want. I'm not there to sell them one theory. I can't even do that, because often I'm not sure myself what the answer is, but I do advocate and indeed, really encourage open-mindedness. And I think we're so often encouraged these days to be closed-minded, and we get these very sort of big famous scientists telling us that this area and that area can't possibly be true. And you can just see they've never even investigated them. They're just coming from a standpoint of assuming there can't be any evidence for these things. That to me is not good enough. I mean, if you want to make me angry, be closed-minded and have no awareness of the evidence. And that's one of the things that drives me when I see people believing things or not believing things based on absolutely no awareness at all of the detail or the fact. That gets me, and there's something in me that wants to rise up and make sure the other side gets put. So I realize you have to be sympathetic to a lot of people who've been brainwashed over the years not to be interested in anything outside this very narrow band that the mainstream gives you. However, yeah, just opening a few little chinks of light into there can be enough, because what I do find is people will wake up actually much more quickly than it might be presumed when they're given the chance to. And we should never give up on people and say, they're all just sheep. Actually, they can wake up very quickly, but they just need that sliver of light from these other areas that are just denied to them most of the time. And anybody that can do anything to do that is doing service, I believe.
Especially if you can consistently demonstrate exactly what you said, that they've been lied to. You don't need to do that ad infinitum to most rational, unbiased people. They'll get it after 3, 4, 5, examples of that. My entire journey into this movement was based on exactly what you're talking about back in the 80s. When I went out and discovered things about the megaliths of Ireland or whatever, I didn't set out with any conspiratorial mindset. That was the inevitable conclusion I had to draw, because all these anomalies I was discovering simply weren't handled openly by academia or the media. There was some media in America, like your famous Arthur C. Clarke stuff and all of that covered it, but not, and Eric von Däniken and that kind of thing. And that's why I gravitated more to reading that kind of thing, because it was the only media that did deal with it. The mainstream media wanted nothing to do with it. So when people talk about, oh yeah, you say as soon as you start studying the megaliths, Michael, you immediately formed a conspiratorial mindset. Yes, I did. And it's a very simple equation for a rational, unbiased person to do that. When you find out that why the things that I'm discovering and that are demonstrable and very empirical have systematically not been covered by any of the mainstream media. And when you keep seeing that pattern, then it is quite easy, and I think even logical, to form that kind of mindset, and then keep proving it to yourself. Don't just get fixated on it as well.